Hey guys, what's up? This is Travis from The Tank Life, and I am at home today, but I wanted to talk to you guys about something that was on my mind. I was watching a video the other night from Corey from Aquarium Co-op. Some of you guys that are in the hobby might know who I'm talking about. If you haven't discovered Corey yet, check out his YouTube channel. I'll put a link below on this video so you can check out his channel. He's mainly a freshwater guy, and he was talking about when he first set up his store, how he put a big 300 something gallon freshwater tank in his store. It's really nice. He bought it used and set it up in his store, and unfortunately it seam busted loose on it, and overnight, and when they came into the store, the whole store was flooded. There was dead fish everywhere. It had flooded. His business sits in between two other businesses in a shopping center, so it had flooded the store next door on either side. And anyway, it was a huge mess to clean up, and it was on a weekend, so it was a Thursday, I think he said. So he had to end up being closed Thursday, Friday, and most of Saturday to clean up the mess, and he lost a lot of business, and he said it was really hard for them. So anyway, I had a similar experience, and that's how I come up with the idea for the Tank Life, and I wanted to share that with you guys today. And the purpose of the video is to educate and inform people. When you're getting into this hobby, it is expensive, and people try to find a way around it. Everybody wants to find a bargain. You know, I'm no different. I try to find a bargain anywhere I can. But I just want to encourage you to maybe think about what you're doing before you go cheap on your aquarium, because you have to remember that your aquarium is the whole backbone of your complete setup. Many people don't think about it. If they can find a used aquarium, they'll go buy one and try to save a few bucks on that. But then they go spend hundreds of dollars on live rock and live sand, and hundreds of dollars on fish. And if you're doing like a saltwater tank, you're going to spend hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars, on corals. And then you got skimmers and pumps, power heads, and then tons of money on lighting and everything else. But you skimped out on the most important part of your system, which is your aquarium that holds everything. There's basically two types of aquariums. You have acrylic and you have glass, and most of the time in the hobby you're going to find glass. And glass aquariums are put together with silicone. The seams are silicone together, and that's what holds it together. And over time the silicone is going to break down and come loose. It's gonna degrade, especially if the tank is ever taken down and then stored dry, especially in a heat environment such as like a shed or something like that, or under a carport or something. I want to share a story with you how I got started really in saltwater. This was about 2001, 2000, somewhere in there. I purchased a aquarium used. It was 125 gallon, and it was in somebody's shed. It had been taken down for a long time, and as a matter of fact, they were using it for a reptile tank anyway. And so the glass was kind of scratched on the inside, and the silicone was just kind of raggedy. But it was 200 bucks, and it came with a metal stand. The stand was probably worth the money anyway, because it was a really well-built stand. So anyway, I took it home, and I knew the silicone seams were bad, so being Mr. DIY, I went ahead and broke the tank down and resealed it myself. And it was a lot of work. And anyway, so I set it up, and it was going pretty good, about 6 to 8 months or so. And I had invested a ton of money in lighting, and then skimmers, pumps, and then I put live rock and sand in there, and I started buying corals. I had some pretty nice fish in there too. So I had thousands of dollars literally into this tank that I had spent a couple $100 on the tank. And Valentine's morning, I think it was 2002, Um, I woke up 6 a.m. to the sound of just water gushing. I mean, just gushing. It sounded like somebody had opened a dam in a river. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was pouring everywhere. And luckily, I had the tank sitting on a concrete slab floor, so there wasn't any damage to the floor, and I didn't have a whole lot of stuff sitting around it, but some of my stuff did get messed up. And anyway, it could have been a lot worse if I were on a wooden floor or something like that. And I was just pretty young at the time, so I didn't have a lot of furnishings, so it wasn't too bad of a catastrophe as far as my surroundings go. But I had to catch my fish and throw them in individual little buckets, and I even had some in a tea pitcher, just anything I could find to put them in. And then I had to set the room temperature up so it wouldn't get too cold in there, because I couldn't put little heaters anywhere. I didn't have any little heaters, so I couldn't do that. And I put air bubblers in most of the little buckets that I could rig together anyway. So that was the only saltwater tank I had. So that day, Valentine's Day, like I said, 6 o'clock in the morning, I got all this stuff done. It's probably pushing 8 o'clock now. I went around everywhere I could go to try and find a big tank somewhere. And back then we didn't have Facebook or Craigslist, so I really couldn't go find another used setup anywhere. And at that point in time, I'm thinking, screw a used setup. I want a brand new tank, because I don't want this to happen again anyway. So I couldn't find one. You know, I needed one right then and there that day, and I couldn't find one. So I drove around everywhere. I drove 2 hours this way. I come back all the way back home, drove another 2 hours another direction. I ended up just getting a 55-gallon tank, just a standard basic 55. That's all I could find. And at the time, I had to go a long way to find that tank. I mean, I had to drive like 2 hours just to find that, because it just wasn't something common to have. And even, I know Walmart carried them at that point in time, but I think the local store was out of them, or they just weren't carrying them at that time or whatever. So I had to go to a special store just to find the 55. And I spent like 400 and something bucks on that tank, and brought it and come back home that day. That was twice what I paid for the used one, you know. And this was a 55, and I had a 125. So I had to take all my stuff and condense it into a little 55. So that was not a fun day. Alright, so fast forward to current time, and it was the beginning of 2018. My mother-in-law gave us a 100-gallon aquarium to set up, and I wasn't going to turn down a free tank. And I really appreciated it, and we were really grateful for it, and we still love the tank. We wish it was still going, but unfortunately we ran into the same situation here. Our 100-gallon tank that we had set up had corals and some pretty nice fish and everything in. We had spent a lot of money getting all the equipment for. It gave loose. The silicone seam busted on it, and luckily I was in the next room and I heard it, and so I had a bucket right there, so I was able to catch some of the water, and there's a window right next to the tank, so I was able to chunk some of the water straight out the window, luckily. But the floor still got completely soaking wet. It soaked a wood cabinet that we had next to the tank, and everything that was in it got soaking wet. Luckily we didn't lose anything too valuable, but what if we would have had some nice furnishings next to it, or if we would have had some, you know, stuff that was irreplaceable, like old family pictures and things like that. We didn't have anything like that next to it, but if we did, we could have lost all of that. So I want you to think about that when you're purchasing your tank. Is it worth it? Is saving a couple of $100 on a used tank versus buying a new one worth it to you? To me, it's like an insurance policy. I sleep better at night knowing that I have a brand new tank in the house, and I don't have to worry so much about, is the seam going to let loose? Am I going to wake up to gushing water everywhere? Am am I going to lose my fish or my corals? And you have to remember that the aquarium itself, just the aquarium, the glass or acrylic, either one you do, the glass aquarium is not that expensive. I mean, in the big scope of things, you're going to spend way more money on livestock and usually way more money on equipment and lighting than you will on the aquarium itself. So what's the point of skimping on the aquarium when you're going to spend all that money on everything else, only to have the aquarium let loose and then you lose all of it anyway? So that's just my 2 cents. Acrylic aquariums are a little different because they're chemically bonded together, so they usually don't have problems with seams busting loose. The problem with acrylic used tanks is that they scratch very, very easily. And a lot of people don't take care of them the way that they should, and just moving stuff around inside and trying to clean the tank and then taking it down and moving it, storing it, they get scratched up easily. So I highly suggest that you do not buy an acrylic used tank. If you do, you may want to consider having it professionally buffed before you set it up, especially if it's a big size tank. It's a good investment. Just go ahead and get it buffed up. But anyway, so that's been my experience. I've had 2 aquariums let loose on me, a 125 and a 100, and it's not fun. Luckily, I don't have a very big expensive house like most people do nowadays. So if you're putting your aquarium in a nice house, please think about it before you go buy a used aquarium off of Craigslist or somewhere and go put it in your nice house and ruin your wooden floors, and then your wife kills you and all that good stuff. And that's another thing to think about. Newer tanks just look better, and the newer ones, they have some different types of cabinets and everything that come with them nowadays. It's not just your standard little press board stand like you used to get it like Walmart or somewhere. Nowadays there are some really nice stands that come with the tanks and canopies and everything. Like custom aquariums, our tank that we have in the store, it's an oak cabinet, and it's I think it's a cherry finish on it, and it's a really, really nice stand. It's a beautiful piece of furniture, and it'll match your house very well. They can stain it to the color that you want it to be, and they have some different trim styles and stuff too. So if you're looking at the aquarium as like a piece of furniture, you may want to go with something like that. Like I said, customaquariums.com is the best place to go to. Use our little store promo code and save some money on that if you want something nice that's going to, accent your home. But we do sell tank packages that are in the store that are up to 125 gallons that are already drilled, ready for a sump. And we highly suggest that you use a sump, even if you're doing freshwater, because it's going to give you more water volume. All your filtration, your heater, and everything, all that's going to go up underneath the tank, so you don't see that in your display. So, again, just don't skimp on that aquarium. I just want to express that to you. I don't know of any other way to explain it to you. Just take my advice. And I know some of you guys are handy out there, and I thought I was pretty handy too. And I resealed that 125, and it held for a little while too. And then it let loose. And I was speaking to a gentleman in the store yesterday. He said he resealed a 150, and the same thing happened to him. So it's very, very hard to get all of the silicone off of the glass to reseal it, because you have to get every single little speck of it, because new silicone doesn't stick to old silicone. So you need to get the glass completely clean, and you need to completely disassemble the aquarium, which is hard to do. It takes a long time to do it. And then you have to put it all back together. And they build them in the factories in jigs, and you're not going to have a jig at home, chances are. And the little frames that are on the aquariums, they build those to help assemble the aquarium and help hold it together. And a lot of people nowadays are trying to do the Euro, rimless, whatever. So they'll take the top rim off the aquarium and try to make it look just all glass and make it look neat and everything. And you could probably get away with that on a 10, maybe a 20-gallon tank, but Anything bigger than that, you're going to have to brace it, and then you're still just taking a chance whether it's going to hold or not. So I suggest you just leave the tanks the way that they're intended to be. They make some really beautiful rimless tanks nowadays. If that's what you want, just go buy a new one. They're not that expensive. I mean, you're going to spend more money on everything else that goes in the tank than you are on the aquarium itself. Even if you want to be handy and DIY and you want to build your own stand and all that, buy the tank new. You know, the tank is not expensive. I think, I'm trying to remember how much they are. The 90s, the 125s, I mean, you're talking like $500-600 for a drilled brand new tank. You know, and you're going to go spend $200 on a used one and then have to spend all that time trying to reseal it, get it all set up, spend all that money. 6 months later, what if you have to call in to work because your tank spilled over? Between that and stuff you damage in your house and everything, it's just not worth it. Just spend a couple $100 extra bucks, buy a new tank. It's an insurance policy. You sleep better at night. You don't have to worry about anything. That's just my 2 cents on the situation. I know people are going to do what they do, and a bargain's a bargain, but how much of a bargain is it? I'm going to tell you, if I had it to do over, I would have a brand new tank instead of the used 125 or the 100s that I had dealt with. Even if I had reused the cabinets or the stands or whatever, I would have just bought new tanks. To me, it's just worth the money. And my 125 wasn't drilled. The 100 wasn't either. Neither one of those were drilled. So I would have rather have the drilled reef-ready tanks and just all new plumbing and everything and been ready to go with it and not had to worry about it. And anyway, we do make it easy for you to buy. We have a 4 easy payment installment plan that you don't have to have credit to buy with. You can do that on our website. Just go to the checkout page, and on the checkout up under payment, you'll see an option for Klarna, 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 and they're going to give you some payment options. You can do the 4 easy payments, or you can split it out up to, I think, up to 18 months, if I'm not mistaken. If you go beyond the 4 payments, they do just a simple check on you, but it's easy to get approved with. And then we have traditional finance through HFS. They do home improvement loans, and they own any type of project that you want to do, including adding an aquarium. They'll loan money to you, so you can do your whole setup with them if you wanted to. You could just borrow enough money to do the whole thing, to buy your tank and your lighting and just your livestock and everything you wanted to go with it. So those are some options for you. Instead of trying to save a buck and end up paying more in the long run, just go ahead and get you a nice new tank and don't have to worry about it. Your house will appreciate it. Your significant other will appreciate it. And in the long run, your pocketbook is going to appreciate it. So anyway, please like and subscribe. We'll be doing some more videos. Somebody had asked me to do a video on how we came up with the tank life. This story is part of it, but we will go in depth and talk about what we are, what we do, and where we come up with the concept. We'll make that video a little bit later on. But thank you for watching. I've got a link to Corey at Aquarium Co-op. If you haven't watched his videos, watch them. He is amazing. Like, he can tell you how to hot rod a cheap little filter, and he tells you all kind of tips and tricks. If you want to save some money, that's the way to save it. Let him show you how to customize your little filters and all that kind of stuff. And don't skip on your tank. just follow that advice. And like I said, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and remember that in May we're going to do that tank package giveaway. So share this with all your friends. Share our channel and get everybody you know to subscribe to our channel. We're trying to build up our watching database so that we can make more videos for you guys and help you out, again, to save some more money. So thank you. You guys have a good one.